Hello, everybody. My name is Alice Michael. I'm a 35-year-old gender fluid person, and this is Raven for Truth, where I share stories. Today's story is with Uncle Sudra, who I met on TikTok, and he is an individual that is just very kind and very creative and very community focused, and he runs a live over on TikTok called the Clubhouse, and he's just kind of growing that up, and it's just a place for people to hang out, which is great. That's what we all need. That's what I have my Discord server for, and that's what, we gotta do that in our lives. We just need to have a space to be and be safe in that space, and it's super cool that him and his mod team have set that up. It's a small thing, but it is still a thing, right? And it's just one of those things where people can do it, and you can do it, and that's the whole point. And I hope you really enjoy his story. I know I sure did, and I don't really have much else to add. If you like this, give it a like. If you think someone else would enjoy it, please share it with them. Please do all the things. Please. Because it does help, and it helps motivate me, and I'm going to keep doing this. So if we can get this in front of more people who are going to want to be guests on the podcast, then cool. That's what we need to do. And as always, if you want to be a guest on the podcast right now, the only restriction is that you are below 50,000 followers across all your social medias. So if that number adds up to 50,000, then you're over. And we'll have to wait until we equal the same level. But that's cool, too. And let's just see what tarot card wants to come up. This is actually the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, so completion. This story is complete and whole in itself, and it is a complete individual experience, as all these stories are. That's it. I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with Uncle Sudra. Before we get started here, I would just like to add on that there are some trigger warnings here for child abandonment, child neglect, child abuse, and medical trauma. But enjoy the story. Hey, so yeah, I've got Uncle Sudra here, and obviously I'm Alice Michael, and we're just going to do an interview and have a chit chat. I met Sudra on TikTok, and then just kind of through interacting. And I just had Beck on the podcast, who is Sudra's partner. So I thought it would be cool to get both stories and just kind of hear both the things you guys are doing to help build community and just sort of foster that love and appreciation for humanity that I think we all need. So what is your age, your gender identity, and your location, Sudra?
I am 59 years old. It's the first time I've said it out loud because I just had a birthday on the 20th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I am male, he, him, pronouns, and transgender. And I'm in Southern California.
Right on. And is that where you were born?
Yes, I was. I was born in Southern California.
Oh, right on. So did you just kind of grow up where you are?
Yeah, pretty much. I was born in Arcadia, grew up in Temple City, lived in Temple City for most of my growing up, and then lived in Downey for a really long time. Now I'm around the beach cities.
Right on, cool. I've only been down there once. I went to Disneyland in 2001, early 2000, I think.
I'm about 40 minutes from Disneyland.
Oh, crazy! Yeah, super cool. And how was it growing up for you? What was your life like?
I had a rough growing up. My family was Catholic, and my mom got pregnant before she got married, and that was a no-no back in the olden days,
I understand.
And so I was not a welcome surprise, and that carried through most of my youth. my mom and dad got a divorce, so there was another thing. And a Catholic girl got pregnant out of wedlock, then had to get married, then got a divorce. So all of those things were very guilt-ridden because of the time, and
Yeah,
it
lots
got
of
heaped on
familial
me.
shame.
Yeah, it got heaped on me because if I had not arrived, then my mom's life would have been different. And so that started, a kind of a whole life of um, not being wanted. And my mom was one of these kind of people that she wanted you when it was an opportunity, but not all the time. Only when she needed your help. So that was very confusing for me. I spent a
I'm
lot of
sure.
time in and out of sleeping on people's floors and stuff like that sometimes, because when my mom's love was there, I had everything I could ever want for. But then if she lost uh, her ability to understand why she needed to be in her life, then that would evaporate. So it was very confusing, and therefore kind of fed into all of my adult relationships, as trauma will do
Yeah,
if you
I
don't
could
heal
see
it.
that cycle continuing.
Yeah. So most of my adult relationships also were like that, with people that um, were good for me as long as I was good for them, and then as soon as I wasn't good for them, then I got abandoned. So a lot of abandonment, a lot of stuff. You asked the question, Alice. Now you're gonna get the answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally understand that answer. I resonate with that story. I never had a father growing up. So like people would come in and out of that role, but there was always like that abandonment sort of wound
Yeah.
there, right?
And for me, the my dad left pretty early on, and so I was then, she was a single mom. She put me in Catholic school, which wasn't good for me. So then I ended up, in a going to a child psychologist for a while because of the school, and then they wanted me to be out of the school, and then that was a big deal because my family wanted me to be in a Catholic school. It was rough.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably my my late 20s, early 30s, that I started becoming, active. I got ordained as a minister. We started a church, and my life started to change, and I started to understand the real need for community, and how people need to have love in their life, whether it is unconditional love from a parent or from a chosen family member.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do not have genuine unconditional love in their life. They're taught conditional love, and
Absolutely.
a
Yeah, I was
lot of
taught conditional love for sure.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
learning to let go of those conditions in love has been a learning opportunity and a growing opportunity that I feel so blessed to have as someone who now understands that, right?
Right. When you're on the other side of that, it's a blessing. When you're not, you have no idea why you deserve that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, and so that was a learning curve for me, except I never went and got therapy for all the things that happened to me. I just kind of shoved all that down and moved forward.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until it wasn't until the pandemic. I think the pandemic is what started it in 2020. I had uh, eye problems. I was diagnosed with cataracts, and that set me into a 2.5 year long um, journey to get my sight back. And I have medical trauma. I'll say it right out loud. I was molested by a doctor.
Okay.
And so I have a lot of problems going to a doctor. So I just didn't for many, many, many years. When I say many, we're talking decades.
Yeah, most
And
of. Yeah.
so, yeah. And so just going to a doctor was panic attack time.
Yeah.
And so that was what started my journey. And
Yeah.
in going for my eyes, I finally was able to deal with medical doctors, and I've got a therapist, and I got medication, and I got the ophthalmologist. And in the interim, one of my eyes, they put the wrong lens in my eye. So for a year, I was unable to work. I was unable to do anything
Oh,
because they put the wrong lens in this eye, and they wouldn't fix this one until this one got squared away. And the way to fix this one was to have a specialist who wasn't in the plan.
yeah.
And so my doctor had to advocate for it. It's a long story. But anyway, I can see now,
Yeah. Sounds
which
like a
I'm
long story.
unbelievably
Yeah.
grateful for. And I see, I see really well now, and I'm still to this day, like grateful looking at the clouds and seeing the details and things, because I didn't have that
I'm sure that would
for
give
a
you a
long
really real appreciation for, as someone who has like near perfect vision, to lose that would be a very introspective moment and a very introspective part of my life for sure.
It
Yeah.
was awful. I mean, for me, because I'm a pretty mobile person, excuse me, and I needed my eyes. I needed to drive to work. I couldn't do that. Any special events that had to happen, people had to make, who's going to go get Sud, who's going to bring Sud home, who's going to do, So I
Yeah.
felt like an ancient old person that was, but all that got squared away finally, and I got that, and now my focus is to help others. We are doing the clubhouse that you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's my live right now on TikTok, but we're doing a Discord, so that it's going to be a Discord feature as soon as we figure out how to do it, because I'm old and I don't know what I'm doing.
Awesome. If
But
you need some help, I'll help you.
excellent, excellent. Beck is in charge of it because she's the brains of the operation. So I'll let her know that you know too.
Okay, yeah, for
Um,
sure. I don't mind helping with that at all. Doing the basics of
excellent.
getting a Discord server set up, I can run through pretty quickly.
Awesome. That would be great, because I know we're a little. This is all new to us, but everybody's saying that we should have one, and it's growing exponentially. So I think it's a good idea to have one, just as a backup, just in case social media goes away for whatever reason or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so um, so what we do at the clubhouse is, it started with Sarah Sims. She's an amazing artist, and she started potlucks. And it wasn't called potluck at the beginning. It was just a gathering, a healing gathering. And at the end of the first one, we were all talking about how when we go to a potluck, you all bring food and everybody describes it. And we were thinking that, well, what we're doing is sort of a healing potluck. And we're all bringing our different kinds of healing techniques and our different kinds of stories and our different journeys. And we're helping each other,
Yeah.
and feeding each other. So I liked that. She liked that idea, so she called it the potluck community. And then I kind of annexed that and just started using my live as a gathering place, a community gathering place for people who were in
Yeah.
the potluck community. But it just got so big, it like went outside of the potluck community. So we just call it the clubhouse now, and we don't affiliate it with any one of these groups that comes in, because we've got a lot of really amazing folks that have their own group and have their own affiliation. So we're sort of like, a gang clubhouse where a bunch of different gangs come and hang out.
Yeah.
And our thing is, we don't debate. We're not debate club. We don't want to talk and debate politics. There's plenty of places online where someone can go and debate to their heart's content with people that want to debate. And there's nothing wrong with healthy debate. It's just
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing at the clubhouse. And we are making a sanctuary. We're making a safe space for people, especially in the LGBTQ community, but in recovery of any kind, recovery from trauma, recovery from substance abuse, recovery from physical injury. We have one of our friends who's been through a dire injury. She had a very bad cancer in her face. She's had her eye removed. She's had all, and we're her support system. And
Yeah.
what we do there, we say that we make love burritos. We make love tortillas in the clubhouse. And then we send love burritos out to everybody. It seems silly, but the burrito has just become a little symbol of our love for each other.
I actually kind of love that. When I went to a choices seminar, and it's like a group gathering, and they use beans as a reference for love, because you can give somebody a bean and then it's up to them whether they grow it or not, right? And I always found
I
that
love
really
that.
beautiful. So like having that mixed into burritos just makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, it's just a wrap full of love. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. A wrap full of beans. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that just came up kind of naturally, and we love it. Everybody's kind of adopted it, and we like to say we're in it for we, not me, because we have been individualistic for a long time, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And I think community is what is called for. There's twofold in healing. One is that personal journey. One is that your dark shadow work that people talk about, and your personal work that you need to work through what's happened to you and the things that. But the second part about healing is you didn't get hurt. You didn't become traumatized by yourself. You didn't do that in the closet all by yourself. Somebody helped you to build those false impressions of what relationships are. So you need somebody else to help you remap those relationships and relearn how to be trustful and relearn that everybody doesn't betray and relearn all of those things that we've been taught when we're in an abuse cycle or in some sort of a recovery situation. And that's what the clubhouse does. We're fellowshipping, good old fashioned fellowshipping.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
so beautiful
just
because it's such an aspect that's missing, like that social aspect and that community aspect. It's a core value of our species, right? Like it's one of those things that gets passed down genetically. Like we seek it as soon as we're born, and we need it throughout our lives, not just as we grow out of infancy. We need it continually, and we need to continually support people, and we need to continually be together. That's even part of this, right? Like I want to share people's stories because like especially people who are building community and who are building that support, and I'm sure there's a mutual aid aspect to the clubhouse too, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I can't tell you the outpouring of love and how many people come into the clubhouse and just say they feel the peace as soon as they're in there,
Yeah.
because we just don't stand for we call trolls Dans. We call them Dans. It's a nicer way to refer to people, and it comes from somebody that was giving us a problem at the clubhouse was named Dan, and we just named
Yeah.
namesake for the people that bother us. But we have we just don't let Dan stand. If they're going to come in and speak respectfully to us, we'll have a conversation about stuff. But if someone's going to come in and just go man or woman, we're not going to we're just not going to engage, because
Yeah.
they can go somewhere else and do that. That's not engagement. That's just bullying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I handle
And
my social
trust me,
media the
since
same way.
wow, since this election, so many people coming in and saying, "Well, Trump's your daddy now, and you're going to have to detransition now that Trump is going to be your daddy." And I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting, because we've had presidents for a long time, 47 times. This will be the 47th time we've done this, and I think there's a few things in place. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a few things in place that might help him from not being my daddy and forcing me to transition, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna, but that's not important. We're not talking about that kind of stuff in the clubhouse, because that is talked about everywhere else. It's not like we're trying to be, package ourselves in bubble wrap or be in an echo chamber. There is a necessity for a space on the internet, on TikTok at least, for some place where those people can't beat you up and make you define yourself to them and make
Yeah.
you have to debate your existence to them.
Yeah.
No one should have to debate their existence on this earth with
No,
somebody who
absolutely.
doesn't want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a difference between those conversations you have with just regular people who are just trying to learn and just trying to understand, and then having those conversations with people who are just there to be mean and just to bully. Like
Yep.
it's a totally different vibe and it's a totally different energy. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
troll or Dan or whatever you want to call it, like it's just like it's not going to be helpful to any conversation. It's not going to push
Yeah.
anything forward. It's just, and like they just say what they're going to say and they're gone a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll come in and they'll drop their bomb and then just run away. And so we have a very, very astute and very protective group of people. We call them Mod Squad, and they protect their peace. It's their peace too. It's not just my peace, it's theirs. And they really, really take that seriously. They value that because there aren't places where people feel like peaceful. And it's really funny because more and more people are saying that they're just, walking past the live and they hear my voice and my voice is soothing and they come in to talk or to listen, and then before long they're coming back because there's something about my voice is very soothing to them, and I bring peace to people, which I'm glad for. That's what I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
doing, I think,
Yeah,
on
and the
the
energy you
earth.
push out on your live is very calm, and like that's just it. If I see it and I scroll across it, I click on it because I already know that space. So like I don't spend a lot of time in there, but like every time I'm in there, there's value and there's healing, and it's just comforting to just sit somewhere and like
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. We have people that come in, and we'll have like somebody come up in the box, and I'll be doing almost a podcasty kind of thing, just doing it. People are cleaning their house while they're watching the pop, the Clubhouse. They're washing their dogs. They're giving their kid a bath. They're doing all this stuff. They're listening to it because for some reason it has value for them and it's uplifting. And that's the whole thing. It's uplifting to see human beings interacting with each other and openly loving each other, openly complimenting each other, openly showing unconditional love for each other. And that's without the stipulation of a religious belief, without the stipulation that you have to believe this or you have to believe that or you have to exclude everybody else in order to be part of this group. The only people that we're excluding are the ones who exclude us
yeah.
most of the time. And only the ones that are angry and mean. The ones that actually want to have a conversation, we allow to be there and we talk with them. If they're willing to talk respectfully, if they're there to learn stuff. We've had a couple of dads with transgender kids come in really worried about what this election meant, you know,
Yeah.
and they have found friends. They have found friends and other trans people, other people with trans children or friends who can help them and understand that this is just another lifestyle like anyone else's lifestyle, just because there's a lot of hubbub with a bunch of people about it not being normal. None of that necessarily is true.
Yeah. Yeah,
There are
it can be
species,
as normal
all
as we
kinds of
make it.
species,
Yeah.
all kinds of species of animals that have different kind of gender proclivities. It's not just humans, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just because somebody read a book.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was all throughout our history, and it got
Yeah.
suppressed in our history, and it caused issues. Like it caused
Yeah.
trauma and harm and just so much damage over time, right? I
Yeah.
was wondering if like that drive for community and connection is what initially drove you towards the ministry as a profession.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always been, I mean, my grandparents were very, very, very uh plugged into all the Eucharistic ministry and stuff. They both wanted to be my grandma wanted to be a priest, my grandfather or none, my grandfather wanted to be a priest. And so I came from a very religious family, but I rejected the actual, Christ-based stuff, and that took me on a journey through just religion in general, theology. And I have found that there is a truth that runs through all organized religion, and that truth is love.
Yeah.
That is love of self and love of the fellow man and love of the universe and the animals, and we have gotten away from that. I mean, even Jesus Christ uh, preached love,
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ was our a
unselfish.
personification of love, right? Like
Yes,
the lesson is in the story of Christ's death and proclamation of that and ultimate death from the societal construct that rejected it.
Right. That's what happens. I
Yeah.
mean, the good ones, they come here and we kill them.
Yeah.
One of my
I've
favorite
said
comedians
I've
was,
said before that if Christ was alive today, Christ would be transgender
yeah, I've been saying
because
that
that's the
whole,
lesson.
that's so
That's the
funny that
lesson
you say
society
that because
needs, right?
I say that all the time at the clubhouse that, I'm Sudra Christ and, jokingly,
Hmm.
but, if Christ were to come again, it wouldn't be in the guise that people expect. That would be in someone that is rejected,
Yeah.
someone that is, that is one of the lowest of the low, because that's the
Hmm.
whole point. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. That's what Christ said. Now, I'm not a Christian Bible thumper, but there's some good stuff that Christ did say. He was a good prophet. He was an amazing person. And one of my favorite comedians, Bill Hicks, used to do a whole thing called "It's Just a Ride." And that's the thing. There are people who come to this world who understand love and who who try to get us to turn our ways around and to love people, and we kill them. We kill them all.
It's happened a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't like the words. We don't like it because that means that we have to be accountable for our nature, and we
Hmm.
don't want to. We're as human beings, we are very, very into blaming other people. It's just our nature. We don't want to feel embarrassed. We don't want to feel humiliated. So therefore, we need to lash out. I have a song,
Yeah.
and the first verse of it is, "I hate my life, so let me get some on you." And that's what a lot of people are like. They have such a bad life. They have such a bad self-esteem, and they have so little comfort and so little safety in their own lives that they don't feel anyone else deserves it either. And
Yeah.
that's sad because
Yeah,
all
and they
they
feel
really
like they
need
have to
is
take what little pieces of it they do have from others, and they need to keep it, and they need to hoard it, and they need to not have it
absolutely. And
be
and that's our
included.
big problem as
Yeah.
human beings. If we've come further and we've become closer, the world has become smaller and smaller with this beautiful internet that we have, and at the same time, we become more and more disengaged from our neighbors. We're not looking at our communities. We're not, and so now that's what the goal of the clubhouse is to start community building. And it's community building virtually online, but a lot of the people that are in the clubhouse are making connections offline. We have one of our friends who has already gone and seen our friend Dottie, who had the surgery. We have another couple of group that are planning on having a road trip together to go down and see her. We have another plan that a couple of other people want to come down here to Southern California. And we want to have so we're trying to make this a real world thing.
Yeah.
Not just virtual friendships, but the kind of support that you can get even when the social media is turned off. And so that's where we're at with the clubhouse. And it's just TikTok has been a really good. Their live has just been a great medium. Spending a lot of time in there, but
Yeah,
it's been a
well, and I
great medium
understand
for
why. Yeah.
fellowshipping. It really is. There's a necessity for safe space for people,
Hmm.
and and
Absolutely.
and it's surprising how offensive that is to people. They see the word safe space and they need to come in and challenge that. No, I've had people come in and say there is no such thing as safe space. You're on the internet. Put yourself out here. You are supposed to. It's like, well, no. Uh, I don't have to accept that if I don't want to. This is my life. Bye bye.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
there
I've
are
shared a lot of my story
millions of
even just
others.
on this podcast, and like it's still a safe space for me to do that because I feel comfortable
Absolutely.
sharing it here. Any repercussions that come from that, I understand that that's a risk that I'm taking to help foster these community building projects and this
Yep.
connectedness that we all need. And like that's a big part of why I want to talk to smaller creators and even people who aren't doing content creation, who are just sort of existing and living their lives, right? Because like that's where you get the stories where you see that like, oh yeah, these people are actually all pretty similar no matter what type of life they're from or where they come from. And I got to be
Yes,
honest,
we're,
I had
we're
no
all
idea you were a
human.
transgender.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
What a compliment.
Yeah. How long
A
have
lot of
you been
people do somehow.
transitioning?
I started in my late 20s, so it's been like over half my life that I've been a man now.
Oh, okay.
And I chose not to do hormones, just because I get cysts and I have all kinds of problems. And I kind of fear, I kind of go with the whole two spirit kind of ideal, that I was given this body and the challenges for this for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that at this stage in my life, I'm almost 60 years old. At this stage in my life, maybe I'm going to help people by being an out trans person for the rest of my life. I don't know. But if that is what I need to do to help others, then that's what I will do.
Yeah.
I'm very much about other people and love and unconditional love, though, not the kind that people say I love you and then you do something and then they walk away from you, because I've had that in my life,
Yeah.
a
Me too.
lot of that.
Lots. Yeah.
So we're trying to foster more real bonds, more of those kind of bonds where the love is genuine. It isn't just, hey, I love you. It's we take, I take anyway my time to get to know everybody that's a club member who is a returning club member. I take time to understand what their diagnoses are and how I need to be a little bit more sensitive to this person as opposed to this person. How is this person deal? I mean, it's a big job,
Yeah,
but
it
I
is, and
really,
it's a learning opportunity. I really
yeah,
love those opportunities. I
me
really
too.
enjoy them. Even my Discord as it grows, like I'm excited for that challenge, and I'm excited for that
Absolutely.
the hurdles that it'll face, and like even like I want to actualize a youth center. That's part of everything I'm doing. So this is all just taking steps towards that, right?
Very awesome. Yeah, I mean that's for me. That's where I'm at. I feel like spiritually, this is what I'm called to do right now. It's a very interesting time for nature workers and for energy workers, because I think there's just been a shift in energy, and a lot of people are being called to their gifts again. And
Yes.
I'm called. I've read cards a really long time, but I've been apprenticing with another person. We call her the Shaw Medium. Her name is Heather, and she is four different nations of indigenous and has been doing medium work since she was a child. And so she has drawn out in me the fact that I have a talent from contacting people's relatives. So, and how it happens for me is it's music. Music comes to my head. A song will come to my head, and then I will. That's what opens the door for each one of these people. It's very new to me. I've been pretty accurate, so it's astounding to me that I'm like, I have this self doubt going. Should I say this? But then I say it, and it's like, yeah, that's my uncle, or yeah, that's exactly what I. So it's a discovery for me, and another way that I can help people, especially through their grief. And that's how I know that I'm doing the right thing for me, because every time I have a doubt, a message comes in my box, or someone comes in the clubhouse and says, I was at my lowest yesterday, but what you said, made me turn around. Or I was feeling really bad yesterday, and I came into the clubhouse, and you were singing, and you read, and now I feel much better. Or someone was, I was in the bed, and I get all of these beautiful stories from people just thanking me for what I've set up there, and that's how I know, like, you need to keep doing it because it's necessary. There are
Yeah,
people that feel
absolutely, right?
included.
It's not anything other than that. Like it's not
Yeah, and
numbers,
it
it's not
and
followers.
certainly does
It's
not.
those little things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly not for financial gain. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, you don't get into doing that sort of thing, especially on content for like
Yeah,
because there's profit in it. Like
there's not.
sure, there's stability and support and community and like that generates abundance eventually in its own ways, but if it's the primary focus, it's going to take away from what the primary focus
Exactly.
should be, which is those people
Yeah.
and those connections and just sort of building up that safe space for people.
And I think the success of a social media platform has to do with how much you don't care about the numbers, really.
Yeah.
Because the more I cared about how my numbers were, the harder it was. And as soon as I just let go and just started doing Clubhouse and didn't care whether I got numbers, the people just started coming. You know. So I think we push it away from us too sometimes, with our own want. And the people that are supposed to be there are going to be there. They're going to come in. so that's what I started doing. I just started talking at the beginning of my lives, and that draws people in. And you know, we've had our apocalypses with a bunch of people coming in and trying to shut us down, but usually that brings more people as followers and more people to the clubhouse, overall, because they like that we're not arguing with these people. They like that we're just shutting them down quietly. They like that they have a space to come. And like you said, even if they don't participate in the basement, they can sit and listen and watch. And there's always something soothing. We're doing breathing exercises. We've had somebody come in and do a sound bath one time. We have Reiki healers that come in and talk about stuff. And, every once in a while, somebody in the chat will just say, I'm having a terrible time. I'm having an anxiety attack. Can we breathe? And the whole chat will breathe for them and breathe with them until they feel better. And that sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Is to know that someone else is breathing with you, that you're not alone. You're not falling down that pit by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally wonderful. And that's totally great to connect to. I did a podcast earlier in the month where I was a guest, and it was a spiritual based podcast. And what I chose to do on the podcast, I got friends together and I opened sacred space across the Americas for healing and for growth and for connection. And when I went to close that space, I got told that I wasn't connected to it anymore. I didn't need to. Me taking that act of opening it made it self-running and self-actualizing because it was just something that needed to happen, right?
Yeah. I think that stuff happens more by accident by folks like us that aren't as trained as some people. And I think that was a happy accident for you, that you just needed to be there at that point in time just to facilitate something that somebody really, really, that most people would be affected by. So as a facilitator, I thank you for the earth.
Yeah, thank you. And it was beautiful. I got to connect. I represented the element of air up here in Alberta, and then I had representation of fire in New York State in the countryside, and representation of earth in Portland, Oregon, down by the coast. And then my earth was down in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
So I got candles lit in all those places. Excellent. And then it was just kind of, and it was just one of those things. I was just called to do it. I was on a podcast that I think like 15 people watched, but it was just one of those things, right? I had that feeling, and I really wanted to do my part as a Dutch person. That's the only ancestry I have connection to. I wanted to do my part to ask the ancestors of these lands for the healing that's needed, and to allow them to be able to facilitate that and open the space. And I just thought it was important that somebody from my lineage actually acknowledge it, right?
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, Alice. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. The one time I went into your live, there was a medium on there that you were talking to, and someone else was on there. And it was, you had shared a song, which I can't remember right now, of course, but it resonated with me and connected it with me. I didn't have like a person to attach it to, but it was one of those things where it was very like deja vu. It was very like, I haven't listened to this song, but it's nostalgic in this moment. Like, whatever energy told you to bring that forth was like, hey, yeah.
That does happen sometimes. Is I'll get something and it's not a hit for the person that I'm reading, but someone in the basement will go, but I have, and they'll go and they'll listen to the song, and they'll come back and say, hey, can I get a reading? Because I think that was my grandpa or whatever, and I'm more than happy to do that. I have a medium friend of mine who says, yeah, just give it away for free. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's necessary. These people are trying to reach out to their ancestors, and that's a healthy part of spirit work, is connecting with your ancestors. And I think that's why, to be honest with you, why white culture is so disjointed, is that we're so jealous of everybody else's connection with their ancestors that we destroy that, trying to find our own.
When we need to
And
remember our own connection with our ancestors and our own
yeah,
connection with spirit, and like
we don't need to steal
the
it from
energy I
others.
can pull upon from like Northern Europe and like the Celtic lands and stuff is powerful, and we need to resonate
Yeah,
with that, and we need to connect with that, because like there's a reason they took it away from us.
absolutely. Yes, yeah, absolutely. This I have nothing against Christians. Okay, I have nothing against people who believe in Christ. He is an amazing prophet, and there's a lot of good by following his example.
Hmm.
Okay, but the problem is that a lot of people don't follow his example. So um, I think that it's more important that we stop thinking about this one religion that is taking over the whole world, and we start going back to what resonates for ourselves, whether it be dance or play or drumming or um, it, full on ritual if you want that, if that's the dramatic way that you want to deal with it. But we have to become more to with our earth again, and
Yeah.
with where we come from. It doesn't matter where someone else is from. Find out where you come from. Get a DNA test, or do a family tree or whatever, but find what your lineage is and then go to the roots of that. What was the belief system of those people?
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised how tribal white people are if they
Yeah.
step outside of this blanket of organized religion.
Yeah, yeah, and like the root of it all ends up pointing back to like some sort of animism, which is just that we are all life. Like
Yeah.
everything here is all life. So we need to treat it as such, right? As soon as
Yeah.
you treat an animal like it's an object instead of an animal, it becomes a tool and you use it, and sometimes it's very effective at that, but like you can really break its spirit, right? Like
Yeah.
horse training and the philosophies that seeing that entire community shift from being we make tools to we connect with a spirit community is beautiful, and I think more people need to draw on that, because that's also something that's very tied to like Western conservative values in the Americas, right? The cowboy community recognizes this. Like you
Yeah.
don't beat a horse to get it to do what you want. You treat it with love and respect and let it exist, and you work with it, and
That's
then
right.
you can both do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stewardship. It's not
Yeah.
ownership, it's stewardship.
Hmm.
And it's a mutual stewardship. And we have forgotten that because there's a sickness of greed among human beings that has poisoned a lot of people,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
we don't look within. We're constantly looking without for whatever that is that we're yearning for, and it's within.
Hmm.
The whole of the love is the whole of the law. Add harm none, do as you will. And that Jesus espoused that.
Yeah.
It's love.
Yeah. It
Love
is.
is the whole of the law. It is the reason that we are here. And that's why some people have so much trouble through their whole life, because they can't touch love. They can't have love. They can't feel it.
Hmm.
And we have a lot of broken generations. Not
Yeah.
not just people, generations, generational hatred and pain and guilt and
Yeah.
lack of confidence. It's deep seated, and it's going to take people like you and I with this color skin to start understanding the ways of the indigenous and the ways of the world and the earth, and and turn that around, because that we're the only ones that can do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
And
our fault.
it takes
It's
everybody, right?
fault for people. Palm colored people got us into this mess, and we are going to have to get us out of it, because the indigenous people and the black people and the Latino people, they've been struggling this whole time with it.
Yeah.
They've known, and that's how they are strong and beautiful, because they maintain that sense of self.
Yeah.
They maintain that
Yeah.
love of
I
ancestry.
haven't learned more about self-love and self-empowerment and just sort of like stepping into your own power and living in it and existing it than I have from interacting with the Black community and like just seeing, and the Indigenous community too. I'm seeing it really grow in that community and really foster, and it's one of those things that like the trans community needs more of. We need more people like us who are just willing to be trans and willing to own our space and be empowered as who we are, to step up and just keep doing our thing and just keep existing
Yeah.
and just keep grinding. And like eventually we're watching those power structures topple, and we just have to be ready to catch the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love what you're doing out there.
I love what you're doing too, Alice. I liked
Thank
your
you.
little beard thing that you did for awareness. That was awesome.
Yeah,
You
my
look
beard
so
update was a
different
good
without
time.
your beard.
Pardon?
I say you look so different without your beard.
Right? Yeah, it does. It really framed my face. I've been looking back at them more, and I'm like, wow, there's like a big
A
difference.
huge difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
big difference.
Well,
But
and
it
you
was
can really,
great for awareness. That was terrific. I think that was a great idea.
yeah, thank you. And it really worked. I know I got at least 3,000 of those 30,000 votes, and like that's considering I'm a single mom who was in my house.
Hmm.
That's huge to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
and it
that's a
just
great
shows that
start.
like just one person making a voice and making it heard and just going, "Hey, Canadians, pay attention just a little bit," makes a big difference over
It
time.
does. You just have to get over that thing that I'm not important, and a lot of people have that self-esteem problem. Why I can't do anything. I'm not important. Well, yeah, just step up and do it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
people will
It
come. The
wasn't about
people that are
me.
that,
Like,
yeah, the people will come. That they will feel your energy. I'm living proof of that in the clubhouse. I barely had 800 subscribers in order to or followers to get on live in the first place, and now I'm up to 1,500. I'm every day we're getting more people, and by me being myself and keeping that door open for people who really truly need fellowshipping, that doesn't have a stipulation. It doesn't have a religion attached to it or a doctrine attached to it or an end all be all attached to it. It is just pure human beings loving each other. Period.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
and and there's no there's no one you have to believe in. There's no religion you have to deal with. It's just people being people and loving each other. And that's I think that's what Christ wanted in the beginning. And that seems to be what all of the love Buddhas and the love archetypes seem to try to tell us is that without love there is nothing.
Yeah,
With love there is everything.
yeah. You can tell it when you cook food. If food's cooked with love versus food cooked without, it goes from
Absolutely.
beautiful to bland.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Facebook or like fast food. I think that's why it tastes like cardboard because they just and like
Yeah.
you walk into one restaurant at 2 in the morning and they've got that grandma there who just is working there because she needs something to do and she loves to cook. That burger tastes better than any other burger you got from the exact same restaurant, right?
Absolutely. It's the same ingredients, it's the same facility, it's the same everything, but the difference is the facilitator. And we need more amazing facilitators in this world, even if it is in a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's in a fast food restaurant. People should want to do that job. And if somebody wants to do that job, then they're going to do a good job at it, right?
Yeah.
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 I know being a sandwich artist at Subway was my favorite job. Like that was
Cool.
just something I loved doing. It was a good job. And then I stopped doing it because I was like, hey, I need to be an adult and pursue a career, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with most of us is that we think that if we're doing something that makes us happy, but it's not something that's making us a whole ton of money, then we're not a success. And I have to redefine what success is in this world. I know that's easier said than done because we live in a money-driven economy. But I think if every single person started taking more account of their happiness and other people's happiness, instead of things, instead of having the next iPhone, or
Yeah.
that's where we should be headed, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have two choices: fear and love. The eyes of fear make you close your doors and lock your doors and believe that there is no such thing as safe space, and the eyes of love keep that door open for even the bad things or learning experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Those bad things come in and then you work with them and you can turn that into some form of love in some way or another, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a wonderful conversation, and I'm so thankful for you for coming on. I
Well,
think
thanks for
this
having
is a
me.
good ending point for it, so I am going to wrap it up. But
All right. I had a great time.
and
And this is
anywhere
my very
else,
first podcast. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is my very first one.
yay! I want this podcast to be all about that. I want to pop people's cherries on
That's
podcasts.
right. So you got it. You got mine.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think at some point in the future, it would be great to have you and Beck on too.
That would be great. I would love to have that.
And there we go, folks. That's it. That's all. This was the conversation I had, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's see what we can do with this thing and see if we can get people to enjoy it, because I hope that you're enjoying it. I know I am. Alice out. Peace, love, and unicorns.